Well, it is a little bit hard to be an optimist today, but here I go. Markets are not down nearly as much as they might have been, or as you might have expected they would be this morning. And we don't know where they're going to end up today because, generally speaking, the market has to digest all these things and take into consideration everything else. And then they have a new starting point. The narrative has changed somewhat. The sentiment has changed for a moment or for a day or for 2 days, while other things come in and take over in terms of the narrative. Of course, we have the PCE next week, so that'll be a very, very big one now. The Fed had some very nice things to say about the economy, but then they added that those nice things were a big worry in their effort to get inflation down to 2%. Well, the analysts have now analyzed that speech to death, and they've ended up believing that the Fed will not raise rates again this year. That's overall. There are certainly some who are not convinced, but overall, people think it was a threat. What do you think? This is Randy Kirk. If you haven't liked yet, you should like every time, right? Because it really helps the algorithm, even if you're like so-so on what I'm saying. Anyway, hit like, hit subscribe, hit notify. I got Brian Wong coming on tomorrow. You don't want to miss this. He has some theories. I think they're good theories, or I wouldn't have brought it on. He's got some very good theories about how Tesla manufacturing is going to get even stronger, some new prowess that they're going to bring to the table. I think it'll blow your mind. Maybe he's right, maybe he's wrong, but it sure is interesting. You also want to make sure that from time to time you think about how many of these are you going to need. All right, let's see here. Bond yields are at recent highs. This is, of course, why the market is down primarily this morning. So remember that what bond yields going up means is that nobody's buying the bonds. So people are saying, that's not a high enough interest rate for me to want to put more money into bonds. So they don't buy the bonds, and people sell the bonds, and they move their money into something else like money markets or into equities or whatever. But they're saying basically, no, the interest rate has to be higher or I'm not going to buy. Well, so then the interest rates pop up. The only time they're going to start going down is when people say, okay, that's high enough. That's interesting. I'm going to get me some. Okay. So, but what's happened is because nobody's buying bonds, they're at 17-year highs. Investors who are 40 today have never seen or have any understanding of yields this high. But prior to 2006, they were much higher for much longer. Very high, much significantly over these numbers for years and years and years prior to that, going all the way back to the Carter administration. Well, those kinds of will yields in the 4.5 for the 10-year. I mean, we're not there yet, but we're almost at 4.5. Will those kind of yields kill the economy? Well, they won't help, but people figure it out. I know I've said this over and over again, but I think it bears repeating. People will figure out, okay, I still need to buy that house. Okay, I still need to buy that car. Oh, I still need to buy that equipment. Oh, even at those interest rates, if I buy that equipment, or if I buy this automation, that's still going to make my company more successful in the future. I still have to buy that inventory. I cannot not buy the inventory, et cetera, et cetera. So some companies won't survive it. There's no doubt about it. If you get higher interest rates and they're not expecting it, they haven't planned for it, they're not going to survive. Some individuals will default or go bankrupt because they bought a car, they bought a house, or they bought a lot of things, and they can't afford the interest rates that they're paying now. But other people will have been prepared for it. Some companies will have kept plenty of cash on the side, like Tesla. They have almost no debt, like Tesla. Or they'll be nimble enough to deal with it, like Tesla, and life will go on. Interesting. Powell said just almost exactly this in his speech. He said, another 25 basis points won't really matter. So we're all excited this morning. Stock market's down, bond yields are up. And yet the Fed chairman said, even if we do raise them 25 basis points, it's not really going to affect that many people in a huge way in terms of the decisions they make. It just won't. And I've been saying that for how long? If you guys follow the channel, you know that's a mantra of mine. All right. For Tesla, sure, any higher interest rates make cars more expensive, but it also makes all cars more expensive. And now that Tesla is pretty much at parity with the ICE cars out there, the issue isn't as important as it used to be. So if you've got Tesla at a very much higher price point and the interest rates go up, and now you could move over and buy this less expensive car that has about the same stuff, you might make that decision. But now Tesla's on parity or even under parity when you take into consideration the various opportunities you have through the IRA and other kinds of deals that various states are offering. All right, let's move on. From Fortune, Zillow economists expect national home prices to rise 4.9% over the coming 12 months. All right, now that's okay, that is inflation. Their forecast model predicts that 39 of the nation's 400 largest markets will see an increase of 7% or even greater over the next 12 months. Last month, that figure was 120 markets, so they've dropped the number of markets that are going to go up 7%. While Willow thinks U.S. home prices have bottomed, something that economists at CoreLogic and AEI Housing Center also believe, not everybody agrees. Morgan Stanley and Moody's thinks U.S. home prices have a little more to give, and it will happen between now and the end of 2024. I think the folks at Morgan Stanley and Moody's, I don't know what they're drinking. Okay, so anyway, but what I want to do, I want to take a quick walk through the Truflation numbers to see what they are saying overall right now. So bear with me a second while I do the old share the screen thing, which always takes me longer than I like it to take. And we will now share the screen. Okay, hopefully you all can see the screen. All right, so we have Truflation overall at 2.68%. You can see right down here the trend, okay? You can see that the trend has been flat for about a month, up and down, but pretty flat for about a month, at a little bit of a higher level than it was in June and July. So starting in the middle of August, it started popping up, and it's staying about this 2.6 level, 2.5, 2.6 for the month of the last part of August and so far in September. So that's a little bit up, but now let's break it down really quick here, just real quick. Let's go through here. Food and beverages, you'll notice those are now going up a little bit. Let's look at the chart. You can see, however, that when you look at the chart, it is down. This is not what's causing Truflation to be showing up a little bit, because overall it's down, and it is almost at the lowest levels that it's been, and it's around, it's at a negative in terms of year over year. So that ain't the problem. Let's go on to housing. You can see housing is still down recently, okay? And you see it's trending down. You can see rents down here at almost 0, 0.05 year over year. You can see here overall 3.96. See, so this would be inflationary. This is a point higher than the Fed wants it to be, mostly caused by owned dwellings at 4.64. So this is where you've got the biggest issue in terms of this category. But Powell keeps on admitting that this is a problem that he's not going to solve by increasing interest rates. And so it's not going to do any good at all to increase interest rates to get housing because you've got no supply, and the supply is not growing. All right, transport, here's the killer. Okay, here's where it mostly happens. You've got transport now at 3.97 total. You've got gasoline, oil, and motor oil. You've got 311. I think I'm getting the right number here. And you've got the owned vehicles coming back up, okay? So it went way down. It's still negative, but it's not enough negative to make up for this high gas situation, and the trend is up on both. Okay, so take a look at that chart. So this is where it is. It's all about oil and gas. Let's go on quickly through the rest. Look at utilities, completely almost down to 0 in utilities. Natural gas is not a problem right now. So this is an interesting divergence. There's a lot of natural gas in Europe. They've got, their tanks are full, okay? The United States, new drilling has come online. Natural gas is in great shape. So hopefully your heating is going to be paid for by natural gas this winter. Health, you can see down at negative still, okay, negative. I had a report the other day talking about how that's going to change in the coming months, but it's not a big category. Household and daily items. Now, see, this is still up there. It's around 535. Okay, household and daily items only makes up 7% of the over. But this is a big one. Household and daily items is probably being affected mostly by oil and gas. Well, it's actually going down right now, so I can't really say that it's getting worse because of oil and gas. I should dig into this. I'm going to dig into this at some point and see why are household durables and daily use items still so high in terms of their year-over-year price increase. Alcohol and tobacco also high, only makes up 1.9% of the index. It seems like that might be some of the same reasons as here. Clothing is coming down. It's still at 3%. And that's 3.8%. So between those three, you've got about 10%. So between those three, you've got something that's important. Communication, 1% down, is definitely down, and it's right around 1%. Education down from recent highs, but it was lower earlier. It's sitting around 2.5% here, I think, 2.9%. Okay, very small category, 2.33. And recreational culture is still up there. I'm sorry, up there around 4%, but dramatically coming down. You can see the chart. So anyway, that gives you kind of a breakdown of where things are, and that might help you to make some of your thinking with regard to how to think about the overall issue of inflation right now. All right, so then we've got initial jobless claims coming in hot this morning. In other words, they were lower than expected at 201,000, well below the forecasted 225,000. It was their lowest level since January. It was the lowest volume of new unemployment. That said that twice. The Philly Fed index. So that's a good for the economy, bad for the Fed's effort. Prior month on the Philly Fed, last month was at 12. That's an index number. Came in at negative 13.5 versus a negative 0.7 expected. So that was the 14th negative reading in the past 16 months. That's on the manufacturing index. The big deal there that really caused it to have a problem is new orders down 10.2 versus positive 16 last month. So so you got all this mixed information about the economy. That's the Philly Fed. We've had the New York manufacturing index come in strong. Chicago and Philly now both coming in light. Larry Ellison says that the Cybertruck is his favorite vehicle. He says that there are many attributes to this Cybertruck that we don't yet know. So that's news, okay? Many attributes to the Cybertruck that we don't know yet. And he says that FSD is coming soon. That was news, okay? Now, does he know? Lots of people say that FSD is coming soon, but does Larry Ellison know something that we don't? Or has he just had an opportunity to drive V12, version 12, and that's enough to convince him that we're almost there? Tesla has, so that's Larry Ellison making news there on two levels. We'll see what comes out of that. What is still not known about the Cybertruck? It'd be fun to, we sure love to hear about the handoff. That'd be good news to get today on a day when it's hard to be an optimist. Tesla has long kept the Model 3 Highland wrapped in the United States with bumper covers in order to hide the vehicle's new look. But of course, we now know what it's going to look like. So now the test models that are being driven around in the United States do not have the wraps on them anymore. That's kind of interesting. Blows my theory that the US version is going to be in any way different than the Shanghai theory. With the release of the Model 3 Highland in Asia and Europe in the past few weeks, Tesla has uncovered the vehicle in the United States for the first time, allowing the full product to be seen on roads despite it not being released here yet. I believe, based on what was said by various people the other day, including Elon, this was a very easy transition to make. I'm thinking it won't take that long. I think we see them no later than January. Could be wrong, but that's my guess. Walter Isaacson's highly anticipated biography of eccentric billionaire Elon Musk sold 92,560 copies in its first week on sale. That's a very strong performance and a welcome start to the holiday season for booksellers who have not been doing that well. That's about the same number as Elon Musk Mission sold the first week. If you believe that, I have a bridge. Okay, so Tesla outperformed the market yesterday, and at some moments it seemed like it might do so today. Let's take a look at the numbers here. So Tesla is now down 2.55. The market is down 1.34. So Tesla is about a double of what the market is doing, not quite a double. And that's not unusual for Tesla. The rest, the NASDAQ is down 1.34%. The Dow down 0.53, I'm sorry, 0.5%. So the NASDAQ is doing worse because if typically the NASDAQ does worse whenever you have interest rates going up. We have the rest of the Magnificent Seven all doing very poorly, similar numbers to Tesla, although Apple is doing a little better, Microsoft a little bit. Anyway, it's a mixed bag on those. NVIDIA also down 2%. So, and all of the Cathie Woods are down strongly. So yeah, the interest rates are affecting the NASDAQ more than they are the Dow. I mean, the Dow really this morning is only down, down 170, NASDAQ 178. Okay, let's look at those other numbers. And what we got here is we have the Bitcoin down 523, back down to middle 26s. We have the dollar remaining strong. We have gold way off at 1936, down 30 points this morning, 1.5% down on gold. Part of that is because the dollar's up. Oil is now up back to 91. It had fallen down to 89 this morning, back up $2 a share. Brent at 94.50, which is stronger than the normal difference between the two. Oil is not slacking off. And bonds, as we mentioned, 4.488, pushing up towards 4.5, very, very close to 4.5. And on the 2-month, you've got it at 5.4, almost a 5.5. That is not good. And the 2-year at over 5.152. All of this, of course, is the highest they've been in, what did I say, 16 years? Anyway, back to 2006, I think it was, but I could be wrong on that. All right, remember to hit like, remember to hit subscribe, remember to hit notify so that you're notified of tomorrow morning's program, as well as Brian Wong coming on tomorrow with some really interesting ideas. And then what I want you to do is I want you to take a look at this one more time. Well, not one more time. I'm going to, somebody asked me the other day, how come you're talking about this all the time? How come haven't you talked about it enough? I don't notice Stephen Mark Ryan has stopped talking about his greens or whatever the heck it is. So this is how you make money. I'm making more money off of this right now than I am off the advertising. So if you want to support the channel and you want to have a cool thing to show to your friends, here you go. It's only $25. It is selling nicely on Amazon right now at $29.95. So for you, it's $25. Send in your check. As I've mentioned before, it's the thickness of the actual Cybertruck. It is a strong, tough product here. It's a magnet, of course, for your refrigerator and a bottle opener if you haven't heard me talk about it before. Comes in a great gift box. The gift box is an Apple-like gift box. Very cool. This is the Cyber version. Just a second, let me get it in here. So we got the Cyber version. The camo version, rather. Please note when you're placing your order whether you want the camo or whether you want the stainless steel. You can also get it by joining Patreon. You can get books. You get the audio versions of the books if you join Patreon. Also, at the $10 level, you get 2 books. At the $5 level, you get 1 book. And then you have the choice. You can have one of the either camo or stainless version of the Cybertruck bottle opener when you join at the $10 level. All right. Oh, yes. And if you're out of the country, we've had a lot of foreign orders. If you're out of the United States, you do need to add $20 to your order to pay for freight, regardless of the number that you order. Okay. That's all I've got this morning. I am going to say goodbye for now. I'll be back later today with, I have no idea what. I have nothing planned for the rest of the day. Maybe I'll take the afternoon off. Probably not. See you later. It's been great talking to you.